friends. Happy Wednesday. It's Noreen Smith here, if we haven't met before, and I am the Product Development Creative Manager at Creative Memories, and every Wednesday I get to be with you guys to do some fast and fun projects. So it's always a pleasure to be here with you, and we're just getting set up. I just see a bunch of gals. Our Australia gals are right on track there. There's Carmel and Kylie. We've got Sheila from Ontario. Somebody's joining us from Minnesota, New Hampshire. There's Sharon from the UK. Welcome, Sharon. Judy from Boston. A whole bunch more just scrolled on. So hello, everyone. Ellen from New Mexico. Oh my gosh, I can't even see. They're going so fast. Florida's here. Maine's here. Michigan, MI is Michigan, right? I think, if I know my state abbreviations correctly. And everybody's coming in fast and furious. So always a pleasure to see so many familiar names. And I love seeing where you're at and where you're joining us from. So I don't know about you guys, but I am exhausted. We've only been back at school, for a week and a day, and I tell you, I am having trouble keeping up. It's exhausting getting back into a routine. And we also had a really big weekend this past weekend. It was the Worldwide Virtual Crop. Many of you were joining us for that. And we also had the opening of Secret Box number 3. So there's been lots and lots and lots going on. I'm also gearing up for a couple of trips happening later this fall. I'd love to hear how your fall is going. Are you traveling? Are you going to any scrapbooking events like retreats and things like that? Are you getting back into your fall routine? We're officially, I think, about a week away from, the actual fall, autumnal equinox. So, we still got a little bit of time till we're completely in fall. But yeah, I'd love to hear how your fall is going. And of course, we are doing all things fall. We're having so much fall fun with all of the beautiful products. We've been having fun with Croptoberfest. And if you don't know what Croptoberfest is, you definitely want to be in touch with your advisor and find out if she is offering, I guess I should also say she or he. We've got a few male advisors, but if they are offering any Croptoberfest events. And you can also check out the products that are available to customers for Croptoberfest on the website. And then, of course, we launched the Autumn Harvest products, which are so, so beautiful. Love those. And then just this week, we launched a couple of new products. One very much with that fall feel, the Sunflower Fields. Be still my heart. If you love sunflowers, of course, you're going to love this particular bundle. So I'm going to be sharing that with you in just a minute. But yeah, lots and lots of fall fun happening. So I've got a few folks kind of telling me what they're up to. Still hot in lots of places. 5-day Croptober event. That was my friend Candace down in Arizona. So she just held her Croptoberfest. Somebody's moving. Teresa's moving. Road trips are happening, travel, yes, exactly. Lots and lots of fall fun things. Very busy fall for a lot of us. And it's also, I'm just going to put this little plug in. If you've been kind of thinking about becoming an advisor and joining our Creative Memories advisor community, you might want to think about joining it at this time because it is moving up into the busy season. It is moving up into the season where there's some gift giving and people want to, create gifts. So it's the perfect time to join as an advisor if you are thinking about it. So just throwing that out there because, of course, our advisors have so much fun. Okay, enough of me chatting about the fall. I just want to have a look here. What I want to say to you. I'm all over the place today. So I want to talk about these two incredible bundles, but I want to frame it in terms of creating title pages because, You know, when we have a brand new album that we want to start, whether it's a new yearly album, it's a volume of a chronological family album, whether it's a trip album, a gift album, wedding, baby, school album, we all get faced with that sort of blank first page fear, right? Remember when you were in school and you opened a sketchbook or you opened a new notebook and that blank page is just staring at you. And what do we do for that first page in a notebook, or in our case, in an album? So that's where title pages come in. And title pages can be you can just start right in and create your first layout. That is totally a fine way to begin an album. But many of us like to kind of introduce the theme or the idea of the album with a special title page. And some people like to have photos on it and some don't. So totally up to you. But when I think about a title page, there's a couple of products that kind of pop into my mind. One being the frame punches, of course, that we use, like the pumpkin patch frame punch that we used last week. Those make stunning title pages. Have I got one here? Yeah, I do. So, when we created these beautiful, fun shapes, popping that onto a page creates a gorgeous, gorgeous title page. So that's one way to do it. The other thing that I rely on a lot is jumbo CCS patterns. And that's what we're going to be using today, because we have a brand new and old jumbo CCS bundle available. So that's what we're going to play with. We're also going to play with the gorgeous Sunflower Fields collection that I just mentioned. And I want to talk about both of those bundles before we actually play. So enough of me chatting. Let me flip you around to my table so that we can see all of the fantastic things that I want to play with and talk to you about today, okay? So I just mentioned the CCS Jumbo Wavy Square and Jumbo Square frames. These are extra large style, jumbo style, create custom cutting system patterns. Now, you may recognize this one, and as I mentioned, there's some old and some new in here. This particular jumbo wavy square pattern was offered previously in Oldco, in the old Creative Memories. So some of you might have this, but this one is new, the jumbo frame, a jumbo square frame. And so you can see they're kind of mirror images of each other. We've got a wavy square on the outside here. We've got a wavy square on the inside. And as you can imagine, yes, they are going to go together beautifully. So we're offering these as a bundle. So you get both of the patterns, plus you get this fabulous little box. Isn't this adorable? Like, I didn't know I could be so excited about a little box. But this little box is the perfect size to hold your custom cutting system blades. Isn't that sweet? Now you're never going to be digging around in the bottom of your bag for your blades. They're going to have a nice little home. You're going to be able to grab it easily, right? You're going to be able to feel that at the bottom of your bag. And the only way you can get this cute little box is by buying this bundle. But we've also got something else that's going to be helping you create some fabulous titles. And we've got a special pack of Days Well Spent extra large embellishments. And really, they're extra large titles. So you can see that they're such a nice large size. And we've designed these to coordinate both with Autumn Harvest. You can see some of the blues and yellows and oranges that we've got in Autumn Harvest. Oops, that's upside down. As well as the sunflower fields. So again, a lot of the oranges and yellows that you'll see in the sunflower fields. So this bundle is a great bundle, perfect for creating all of those title pages. I should mention that just in case you're thinking that your CCS blades will come with this little box, they will not. So if you don't already have your CCS blades, you'll definitely want to order those when you're ordering your jumbo CCS bundle. Okay, so that's the first bundle, and of course we're going to be playing with these in a moment. But I want to talk about the second bundle, the Sunflower Fields bundle, because we've got something special in that as well. So you can see the Sunflower Fields designer papers. Aren't they beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. I love the addition of the purples, the oranges, and that little bit of green in there too. This is just such a great, great color palette. And I'll take this out for you so you can see. Should have had these out before. Sorry about that. But you can see that our coordinating cardstock is going to be canary, pumpkin, dark green, eggplant, and hot fudge. So a fantastic color palette there. Of course, we have some great stickers with a whole bunch of beautiful watercolor style sunflowers, some great sayings and icons, and then a whole sheet of borders. Of course, fabulous variety map packs, and I've got an open pack of these that I'm going to be showing you a little bit later. But then this bundle actually comes with two things that you do not want to miss. First of all, where's my shimmer fans? Hands up if you love shimmer. This is the gold shimmer. So one of the colors that we offer in the regular line is bronze, and it is a lovely metallic. But this, as you can see, is a beautiful deep gold. I've already pulled one piece out to sort of get ready for one of our title pages here. But you can see that shimmer, and it's a beautiful, beautiful finish. So the only way that you can get this gold shimmer right now is in the bundle. And I know that many of you say things like, well, we want to see this in the line. We really are limited by the manufacturers. So we're only able to get a certain amount of shimmer papers at any given time from them. So that's why we bring them back. And, you know, if you love gold shimmer, make sure you send us a little email to cmproductsuggestions@creativememories.com. Let us know. And then when we are able to get more gold shimmer, we will consider bringing that back. So just so you know, that's why we don't have it available kind of in the regular line. The other thing that's special about this bundle is the little sunflower fields embellishments. Now, if you had joined us during the virtual crop this past weekend, you'll know that there was a lovely little pop-up promo featuring apple and pumpkin embellishments. And these are the same style. They're a nice little kind of almost like a little sprinkle embellishment with just a little bit of added detail. They are layered. So the sunflower embellishments are only available with this bundle. So two fantastic reasons to get this bundle. Of course, the Sunflower Fields products themselves are gorgeous. So you just need it. I know I say that a lot, but you just need it. And while you're at it, I think you probably want to definitely consider this beautiful chocolate. Yes, I wanted to check that, but it's chocolate foiled Sunflower Fields album cover set. So isn't that beautiful? I think it's absolutely lovely. And again, going to be perfect for all of your fall photos, you know, whether you're visiting a sunflower field or sunflower maze, or you just love sunflowers, or, you know, chocolate, for example, is one of the colors that I have for my regular family albums. So it's nice that the chocolate would be the same on my shelf, but then when I pull it out, I have that beautiful foiled design. So those are the products that we're going to be playing with today. And I can't wait to show you all of the variations that we're going to be making today with our jumbo CCS patterns. So let's really kind of dig into these now and talk about how we can use them. I want to give you some tips because I know that many of you love CCS, but you may have not a problem, but you may want to consider a couple of tips so that you get the best results possible when you're using the jumbos. I find that because of the waves, and if you have any of the other previously sort of retired jumbo custom cutting system pieces, for example, like the scallop circle, you might remember that the waves, while they work beautifully, you do have to get, you have to follow a couple of little tips, right? One of the biggest tips is to go slow. So we're so used to, having circles and ovals, and we can just go around them super, super quick. So with the wavy sort of shapes, you'll want to make sure that you kind of take it a little bit slower so that you're not, so that you get the best cut possible. Okay, so the first tip I want to give you is when you open these up, please make sure that you keep the template that is inside, this plastic template, because although you may want to cut a full page, you can also sort of use it to size up. Maybe you're going to cut just a smaller version of the inside. So you can really kind of see where you need to have your actual template when you do cut. So you'll be able to place it properly and see if you've got enough space. So make sure you do not cut this and make sure you hang on to it. Same with the instructions. You may not have realized that there are instructions on the insert. So make sure you save those inserts and those plastic templates, okay? All right. So the second thing I want to remind you is that you want to make sure with these in particular that you have the ergonomic custom cutting system blades. Now, custom cutting system has been around a long time, and you may have blades that look like this. These were the, I've been with Creative Memories since 1999, I think. So these were the old style. And mine still actually work. They're actually still sharp enough to cut. But you had to hold them and turn your wrist and your arm to go all the way around. With the ergonomic style, you can see that the blade actually rotates. So you can just hold on to this and go around a circle or around all of these little waves, and your blade will rotate for you. So you don't have to twist your arm and your wrist quite as much. So if you still have blades that look like this, treat yourself to some a new set of blades, basically, with the ergonomic shape. Much easier to hold, much easier to go around the waves, okay? So that's the second thing I want you to make sure you've got. The third thing I want you to make sure you have is some repositionable adhesive and or some blue or green painter's tape. And this is really to keep that jumbo CCS template right in the exact right spot for you. So I'm going to be using these two things in just a couple of minutes. The other thing I want to mention is that you may find it easier to turn your mat. So you know that I have these two cutting system mats kind of duct taped together. So I'm going to fold them over, and I'm just going to use one sort of side, because when I get this all centered, I'm actually going to turn my my whole mat. Okay, and I'll explain why when we get there. So that's another little sort of tip that you might forget about as you go along with this, but it might help you, especially if you have any wrist or hand problems. And then the third thing that I want to make sure that you remember is solids plus patterns, or dark sort of tonals plus patterns. When you're choosing your papers, you want to make sure that you're choosing things that contrast. So for example, if I wanted to use this gorgeous orange, I might choose, something that has a bit of a pattern with it. But I wouldn't want to choose too heavily patterned papers. So I want to have, a solid with a pattern. Okay? So when you go through your different papers that you can use, definitely think about choosing a solid or something with a tonal overall pattern, very sort of not noticeable pattern, and then also using your pattern. So that works best because you want to really see the edges. If you use pattern on pattern, you're not going to see those fun little sort of scalloped edges. Okay, well, let's get cutting. We're going to do 3 different variations here on a title page. And for each one, I'm going to show you how I cut, show you how I put it together, and then we're going to talk about how it could be a title page or how it could be a layout. Okay? All right, so I mentioned repositionable adhesive, and I mentioned blue or green painter's tape. This is what I like to do. And if you've ever had any challenges using custom cutting system, for example, if you're going ahead and cutting and you're finding that, your blade is skipping or, your template twists, these little tricks might help. So I always will give myself a little repositionable adhesive in the center. But because these are jumbos, I'm actually going to attach at the 4 corners as well. Remember that repositionable adhesive will just rub right off your paper. Do it on the side that you don't want to see, so that if there is any little bits left, you don't see them. Okay, so make sure you do it on the wrong side. And now that I've got this on, I can see I'm not quite centered. So I'm going to take a moment and get that nice and centered. Okay, so that will help us, having it on the custom, the 13 by 13 cutting mat, will help us get our template centered. But again, sometimes if you're pulling, your template may kind of, move. And if you've ever had that problem, just grab yourself a couple of little pieces, not very big, and you just want to sort of take the tackiness off them. You just want to have them so that you can hold it in place, but not, secure it. So I just take a couple little pieces of that and I just make a couple of little rounds and then I'm ready to go. So now I'm going to use the little measurements to get my template in as close to the center as I can. And the template outside dimensions are about 11 inches. So I'm kind of trying to measure in a 1/2 inch and measure down or up about a 1/2 inch. Okay, so now this is really nice and secure. I'm not going to worry about moving it. I'm not going to worry about the paper sliding off. It's just a little extra step so that I can be sure I'm going to cut properly. And when I'm cutting with a jumbo piece, that's going to take up a whole paper. So I don't want to waste a whole paper, if my blade skips or if I move that. So it's a real, easy way to just kind of ensure a good cut. All right. So I'm going to talk about the reason that I turn my large mat as opposed to turning my hand. Now, I'm very lucky that I don't suffer from any arthritis or anything. But if you have arthritis, of course, that's going to be hard on your fingers and on your wrist. And remember that I mentioned that the waves of these custom cutting system shapes do provide a bit of a challenge. And, you don't really think about it until you're actually doing it. But what I have found works best, besides using the ergonomic blades, besides going slow, is that I do best when I'm pulling down. I don't do very good when I'm pushing over or pushing up. So in that case, if that's my preferred way of cutting, if I cut down and then I turn my entire mat, and then I can continue to cut down, to pull the blade down. So it really just alleviates stress on my hand or my wrist. And you may find that you do better pushing or pushing up. You might be left hand and maybe you pull down this way. So you're going to want to experiment on some scrap paper, what your preferred sort of best way of cutting is. What your best way of cutting is, and then use that to your advantage. Okay, I have always found that when I push and I'm kind of going like this, I always skip over. So this way helps me get, again, that great cut. So I'm going to put my little pegs into the outside track. I'm going to take a minute to make sure they're in there properly. I'm just kind of leaning over and looking. And I'm going to start by pulling down. I think for me, the reason that it works best to pull down is that I've got the force of 4 fingers pulling as opposed to the force of 1 thumb pushing. So for me, it's just so much easier to pull down. So now I'm at the corner. I'm just going to turn, and I can continue really nicely without a lot of stress or strain. I also want to mention that it is much easier, especially with the wavy blades or with the wavy templates, to cut on patterned paper, designer weight paper, than it is on cardstock. I always have to go even slower when I've got my cardstock. Okay, so then I'm finished. Now, you may want to take the extra precaution of just going over it a second time. Remember, your paper is in the right spot there, so it's not going to move. So if you want, you can always do that. Then just grab your little multi-purpose tool. See, again, another use for multi-purpose tools. And just gently pick that up. And then same thing, just gently pick up your paper. Oh, there was my starting and ending place. All right. So again, when you have the repositionable adhesive, you do want to be gentle, but then just flip it over and rub off that little bit of repositionable adhesive with your fingertips. You don't need anything extra. You can use an eraser. You can use an adhesive remover. I just use my fingers because I can feel where it is. All right, so now I have 2 pieces that I can use on a page. So let's set that aside, and let's get one of those. Well, let's get our opposite here. Okay, so there's that gorgeous pattern, and I can either place the outside edge right on top like that, or I can use the inside piece on another paper. Okay, so here's what I mean about pattern on pattern. You don't really get the same effect. I'm missing some of the edges over here. So I really like a solid on a pattern or a pattern on a solid. So now that one cut gives us the 2 pieces, we can make 2 pages. Beautiful, easy, straightforward. We can take one of our Days Well Spent or other large embellishments. And I love the combination here. That might go right in the center. You may have some photos. Let's see what size would work good. Probably 4x4s, I would think. So if you wanted to use this as a layout, my favorite for that kind of frame style layout is always the 4x4s. Okay. Also, you could, of course, add in that's not a good contrast. You could also add in your frame punches. So that's a really easy way to get a beautiful design. So I've got my base page, I've got the little outside edge, and then I have I think this would have been a 10-inch frame punch. So again, gorgeous, gorgeous title page, super easy, one cut, and then you can save the opposite piece for a page or whatever you want to do. So let's just put a couple more on here. Let's get maybe a couple of 4x4s, maybe something like that, and then a little journal card or a title. Easy, okay? So that's the first one. Let's talk about doing a little bit of mixing and matching. So when I say mixing and matching, what I'm really talking about is mixing the shapes. So we mentioned that the new Jumbo custom cutting system is kind of the opposite, right? This was the original one we had, and it has the square inside and the waves outside. The new one is the opposite. It's the square around the outside and then smaller inside. So for this, we can take both of those shapes and do a little mix and match. So here I've used the outside, the wavy outside, And then I also cut with the wavy inside of the opposite frame, the opposite pattern. You could also intermix any of your old retired jumbo custom cutting system shapes or the circle. That would be gorgeous too. Let me just pull this back here. So imagine if you had your, let's do it with more solid, and then a pattern, and then you could have a circle in the center. So again, you can think about mixing and matching and layering. So I love that. But you can also get even more out of your paper. So when I cut this one, I actually cut the shape out of the base page. So I cut the small internal wavy square from this paper, from this base page. I'll just gently peel it apart so you can see. Okay. Then from another piece, the gold sunflowers, I cut the outside edge of this one. And then I basically just took that center piece that I cut out here and flipped it around, turned it on a diagonal, and placed it inside here. So this is just made from 2 pieces of paper and 2 cuts. So we did 1 cut with the last example, and we got 2 pieces of paper. Here we did 2 cuts. We actually have 3 different layers that we can mix and match. And same thing, you know, we can definitely use this. I'm a real symmetrical kind of scrapbooker. So if I did want to use this as a layout, I would get 4 4x4s. Have I got another one? Oh, there it is. So 4 4x4s, and then my title in the center. But if this was going to be a title page, I might be so inclined as to find a mat card that would work, because that's going to take up a little bit more space. So let's just have a look at some of these beautiful mat cards. They often will have words or titles on them. Aren't they gorgeous? There's Live Simply. It doesn't quite go with my colors there. Same with the purple. Here's Bring on the Sunshine. Thankful, Grateful, and Blessed. Sunny Side of Life. Happy Moments. And then we're into the large one. So I've got 4 choices there for a title. And any one of those could go very nicely right in the center. And then that would be a beautiful title page. You know what I would also consider, now that I'm just seeing that there, is getting my corner rounder and just rounding the corners of a mat card. And then that just emphasizes, again, those kind of wavy or gentle corners. So something like that with a couple of embellishments. Let's pull out some embellishments here. Got my stickers. These are the Sunflower Fields stickers. So again, you know, maybe just look at this gorgeous cluster. I mean, that's done for you, right? So just adding something like that right on there would finish that off beautifully. You could definitely cut this down a little bit. This one would be great cut in a circle, or cut even in a 4-inch square and in the center. You could take your little sunflower embellishments here, do a little banner across the top here. Really emphasize those, and then have something like that just underneath it, because you've got the banners as well. Great contrast, great design. I would even take my my little brown pen, and I would just kind of draw a couple of little bows, and then a couple of little, you know, so that it looks like it's on a little string. So something like that would make a great, easy title page. 2 cuts, 2 pieces of paper, and you have a gorgeous layered effect. So again, could be used as a title page, could definitely be used as a layout example as well. All right, So now I want to finish up by talking about what I call a four-fur. Now, if you are Canadian, or if you know Canadian, kind of, stereotypical Canadian sayings, you might have heard of something called a twofer. And I would spell that two-fur, right? So a twofer is really a 24 case of whatever beverage you might be thinking about. But we also use it to refer to getting like 2 for 1, two-fur, okay? So I'm actually going to do a four-fur. That means I'm going to get 4 things for 1. And I'm going to use this beautiful gold shimmer paper because I only have, 5 sheets of this? How many is in my package here? Oh, 10. I've got 10. So I've got more than I thought I did. But still, I want to preserve every square inch of this. So I'm going to make this count for 4 different shapes. So let's get this attached. Center and my 4 corners. Doesn't really matter which way I'm putting it on here, but let's start right side up. Okay. I'm going to make sure that's down. Now, anytime you want to cut the inside and the outside of a frame, you want to start with the outside first. So if I was doing this one, for example, I would want to, get this all centered, use my little pieces of tape to get it all down, and then I would cut around the outside. Then I wouldn't move it. I wouldn't touch the paper. I wouldn't touch the placement of the template. Then I would go ahead and I would cut out the inside. That's kind of a twofer, right? You get the 2 different pieces from the 1 paper. But really, you're going to have some different uses for those papers. But we can also create additional inside cuts. So again, if you remember kind of your custom cutting system, not necessarily measurements, but the way that the blades work. The blue blade has the furthest distance from the pegs to the blade. The red blade has the shortest distance, the smallest distance. So I hope you can see, I can get that angled right. You can see that it's a different amount of space. So when I put these in the track on the outside, it's going to be the closest to the outside edge. Same thing if I put them on the inside. It's going to give me the biggest shape possible from the inside. Mr. Green here, I always feel bad for him because I don't use Mr. Green very much at all. He's kind of in the middle. There, he's got his little neutral face there. He is right in between. So he cuts, his distance is less than the blue, more than the red. I tend to use these 2 quite a lot. So I'm going to use these 2. We're going to cut around an outside edge. Then we're going to cut a skinny frame from the inside edge. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to grab another couple little pieces of tape. Again, just kind of take a little bit of the sticky off. I've already attached my paper to my mat. And now I'll attach my frame to my paper. A little piece of repositionable there. And again, with this one, same thing. It's actually about 11 inches square. So you want to use the 1/2 inch marks to line it up as best as you can. And so what we're going to get is we're going to get the outside edge. Well, you're going to see all the pieces in just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to start on the outside with the red blade. Someone's saying Mr. Green is the middle child. That's right. All right, same thing. I'm going to start up here in the corner, make sure my pegs are in. This one's much easier, right? And for this one, because it's straight, I can go, see, but I skipped a little bit there. So again, I think it's just, I don't have equal pressure when I'm pushing with my thumb. So I'm going to go back to my technique of turning, much, much better. I can apply equal pressure, and it's much easier to, again, pull that down. I'm just going over that edge where I skipped a little bit. There we go. Okay, I'm not touching the paper. I'm not touching the template. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start on the inside with the larger blade. Okay, so we're going to actually start with the blue blade because again, it's going to give us the largest cut on the inside. And then I'm going to go back in and do the red blade. Okay, so again, I'm leaning over, making sure I'm in the track. I've got wavy edges, so I'm going to take my time. I'm going to turn. And again, all of these techniques I'm showing you, these little tips and tricks for how to, efficiently cut and, get beautiful, clean cuts. All of these really can be used for all of the CCS templates, whether you're doing large ones or small ones. So if you have problems at all with CCS, because of arthritis or anything else, again, I suggest thinking about especially these two. These are kind of game changers for me, and the turning. Okay, so I'm not touching that. Remember, I've got some repositionable adhesive in the center there. I'm just leaving it. And now I'm going to bring in my red blade, get it in the pegs. I'm leaning over to make sure I'm getting it in the pegs. It's twisting on me a little bit. There we go. All right. And now I'm going to cut that skinny, beautiful little frame. And I'm going to go super slow. I'm not going to worry about the time. And I'm turning it and applying the same amount of pressure. Going nice and slow. Oh, see, I skipped a little bit there. I could feel it. So don't hesitate to go back. That's why we keep the paper adhered and the template adhered. I feel like maybe my red blade is maybe needing to be changed. I feel like I'm losing some of the cutting. Yeah, we forget to change our CCS blades. I might have to order myself another set. This is a good time to have your micro tip scissors on hand as well, so that if you do have the little skips, you can go back and fix them. So I'm just going to go around one more time. I'm going to go backwards because the opposite side of the blade is probably sharper than the side I was using. Because again, when we're pulling it a certain way, the one side of the blade gets used more than the other. So again, I'm just kind of doing the opposite thing here. Okay, so that took a little bit longer, but now here is our reward. All right, so my multi-purpose tool to just gently lift up that tape on both sides. And remember, I said this was a forfer. I don't know if that's a word or not, but we've got our outside piece. There's a little bit where I need my micro tip scissors. Gently pull up. Okay, so for some reason I just didn't get through right there. All right, so there's my outside piece. Isn't that lovely? Oh, and on the purple, gorgeous. So we can use that, one piece. Okay, then I've got my inside sort of main piece that is going to have the two different shapes. Okay, I didn't do too bad. It's the corners. It's always the corners that get me. There we go. All right, so then I've got that piece, right? Plus I have that fun skinny frame. Isn't that lovely? I love the look that that gives us. And then because we've cut a skinny frame, just get the repositionable off there, I can also put this in the center, and it's going to give me a skinny purple frame. So there's so many things that you can do with this. I love the look of taking that skinny frame and putting it on this collage paper because there's so many beautiful things happening there. Just putting that little sort of skinny frame there kind of, again, just gives us a place to maybe put a couple of photos, maybe something like that, a couple 4x3s. And again, it doesn't take away from all of that gorgeous stuff happening in the background, but it just really gives us a nice little spot to put our paper. You could even take that, oh, you know what would be cool? Sorry, now I'm thinking about this as I'm going. See, this is the what if happening. It would be really cool to cut this in half. Let's try it. Cut this in half on a diagonal and then kind of use it. You might have to do a little bit more trimming, but sort of use it, you know, in those areas. So that would give you a really neat kind of border. Or you could even do something like this. And then you'd have that really cool sort of frame that you can put your pictures in. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That would be a fun. See, you get all these ideas just kind of come as you start to play, right? Put a couple of photos in there, a little cluster. That would be great. Okay, so that's whether you choose to cut that little frame apart or that little skinny frame apart or not. You've got 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 pieces. That's your forfer. And I absolutely love how that gold looks on the purple. It's absolutely stunning. So you could do it in any combination that you want. And then, as I said, add your little cluster of your embellishments. Add photos if you're using it for a layout. Okay, something like that. And or just, you know, the layers upon layers are absolutely beautiful to create that title page. So again, we had some other layers here. Let me pull those in, the ones that we already cut, right? So I could have different colors layered on top. Save that for another page, and that would be a beautiful title page or layout. All right, so really I just, you know, I'm hoping that I've given you some tips and ideas for using all of these different shapes here and how you can combine them. But really the sky's the limit, and just even with those 2 different shapes, those 2 different custom cutting system shapes, you're going to have so many options. I think it's just so much fun to play with and layer all of these beautiful different patterns and shapes. We got a purple. I didn't cut any purple. Okay, right? So have fun playing with all of these and then adding your different titles so that you have a gorgeous, I wonder if I have any more of my layers. Hang on. Here we've got a couple more layers. So again, you could do your layers of your custom cutting system shape and your layers of your pumpkin patch frames that we did last week. So you've got so many options for a fantastic variety of gorgeous title pages. All right. So I'd love to know what your favorite is and what you think you might use these for. And also I'd love to know what other custom cutting system templates you have or you'd like to see come back. Because again, we always hear from you guys saying, we want this to come back. We want that to come back. So Tell us what some of your favorites are. And don't forget to actually, although you're going to drop them in the comments here for me, don't forget to actually send us an email to cmproductsuggestions@creativememories.com. And then that will give us some extra ideas. Okay? You can just play with these combinations all day long. All right. Let me bring this to a close for you today. Thanks for letting me play today. That was lots of fun. I wanted to show you those 3 kinds of techniques, just cutting the one page and using the 2 shapes, the mixing and the matching of the various shapes, and then really that forfar, because like I said, I know none of us want to waste this beautiful gold shimmer. I feel like romper room. That gold shimmer paper, because it's just too beautiful. So save every little scrap. Make sure that you use up every little scrap and use it efficiently for so many projects. Okay? I think I've covered everything I want to cover with you. I can't wait to hear which ones you like best, which custom cutting system, jumbo custom cutting system templates you might have in your stash that you want to try and mix and match, or that you might want to see come back. And definitely, we can't wait to see some of your examples that you create. So even though we don't have a challenge going on now that the Worldwide Virtual Crop is done, if you create something based on one of our Fast and Fun episodes, please, please, please share it. We would love to see it. You don't need to put a hashtag with it or anything. You can just say, here's my example of a title page, and people will be able to see it and look and get inspired, because that's really what we want to do. We want to help each other and inspire each other and use up all of our beautiful CM products, because of course there will be more. We have so much more in store for you, even later this fall and then into the holiday season. It's going to be great, and I know you're going to be so excited to see everything. So use it up. Get your albums done, create your pages, use up that stash, okay? All right. That was fun. Thanks so much for joining me today. I invite you to join me again next Wednesday. We're going to continue the fall fun, and who knows what I'll have for you next week. It'll be more in the autumnal awesomeness. So make sure you set your alarm there and join me 5:00 p.m. next Wednesday. Okay? All right. Thanks again for hanging out with me, and I will see you next week.